So this is how we are reading the currently logged in user. There is a problem with this implementation. As I explained in the section about Firebase, you should always unsubscribe from Firebase observables. Because when working with Firebase, we're dealing with asynchronous stream of data. This is different from consuming HTTP services using the HTTP class in Angular. Because when we subscribe to an observable returned from the HTTP class in Angular, Angular is going to automatically terminate or complete that observable. So we don't have to explicitly unsubscribe. But when working with Firebase, we should always unsubscribe. Now here we have two options. One way is to implement the onDestroy interface, onDestroy. And when this component is destroyed, we're going to unsubscribe. The other option is to use the async pipe, which is simpler and cleaner. So here I want to change the type of this user to an observable. So I'm going to make it an observable of firebase.user. Let's import this type. Okay. And now instead of subscribing to this observable here, we're going to set this.user to AngularFire auth.auth state. So we're going to unwrap this observable in our template using the async pipe. This pipe will automatically unsubscribe from this observable when that component is destroyed. So back in our template, we need to make two modifications here. One is for this list item where we display the user's name. So here we need to unwrap our observable. So we add the async pipe. Now we need to store the result in a template variable. So we use the as keyword and then give it a name. But look, we have two variables with the same name. So that's why, by convention, we add a $sign to our observables. So I'm going to rename this to user $. And this tells everyone who's reading this code that this is an observable. Now back in our template, we're going to unwrap this user $. Observable using the async pipe and store the result in this user object. And then we can display the user's name like this. Now, similarly for the other list item where we display the login link, first we want to unwrap our observable. So user $, pipe async, and if the result is undefined or null, we're going to display this login link. Now, as you can see, we have a repetition of unwrapping this user observable. We can clean up this code by using the ng-if-else syntax introduced in Angular 4. So here, when we unwrap this observable and store the result in user object, if the result is null, we're going to render a different template. So we add else, let's call that template anonymous user. Now, here I'm going to add an ng template, give it this identifier, so anonymous user. In this template, we simply render this list item like this. And then we don't need to add this ng-if here because this is the else block for our ng-if here. So if we don't have a user object, we're going to render this anonymous user template, which is simply a list item with the login link. Let's test the application. So here, I'm initially logged out. That's why we have the login link. Let me log in. Now, when we come back here, it takes about a second until my name appears here. Because here we're subscribing to the auth state observable of Firebase, and it's going to take a little bit of time until we get the result from Firebase. Now, when I log out, we get this login link. So our application is working perfectly. And we also improved this implementation by removing the explicit subscription to this observable.